In the early Buddhist literature, this place has been referred to as Rishivatan. Ascetics would come here and lead a life of renunciation, austerity and meditation. Many amongst them would attain nirvana. It was also known as Mrigadal, meaning the natural habitat of deer. More than 2,700 years ago, Buddha arrived here. And from this very spot, where you are seated, he delivered his first sermon, setting a new doctrine relevant to the mankind beyond borders and racial barriers. Today, Sarnath is one of the most consecrated pilgrimages for his followers. Let us delve into the past and listen to the echoes of wisdom and embrace Buddha's profound teachings. Not too far away from here is one of the ancient living cities in the world, known in history by many names. Kashi, then Banaras, and now Varanasi. Brimming with temples, it is believed to be the abode of Lord Shiva. Every evening, the panoramic ghats glitter with innumerable oil-lit lamps, accompanied by the chanting of melodious prayers, providing solace to the soul. The city slowly seems to get into a trance. Varanasi has been the epicenter of art, culture, spirituality and knowledge. Many exponents of music and dance have originated from here. Banaras Hindu University, established in 1916, is the biggest university in Asia. The holy fire at Manikarnika Ghat is eternal. It is believed that on cremation here, one achieves moksha, freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Figuratively, death is a celebration here. Lord Shiva dances every day around this eternal fire. These lively lanes, ever bustling with life, continue to pulsate with the wisdom of saints like Kabir and Tulsidas, who once lived here. Pilgrims are drawn to these ghats for a dip in the holy Ganges to rinse off their sins and seek solace within their spiritual selves. Varanasi is not just an ancient city, it is also a cradle of civilization and its faith. How did these cities come into existence? Who built them? Palaces and forts tell us that they were a part of kingdoms of great kings, who must have raised these cities and palaces. Some kings were lost in the mist of history, and some made a mark on it with their valor. There were some, however, who were born in the family of warriors but did never become one, nor did they extend their empires. Today we will tell you the story of such a prince who, though born in royalty, gave up all his comforts and luxuries and chose to walk an arduous spiritual path in the search of the panacea to human suffering. Many years ago, a child was born to King Shuddhodhan and his queen Maya Devi. He was not born in a palace, but in a garden, Lumbini Garden. A prince was born. The glow of sun on his face signaled a good omen. And the planetary positions at the time indicated that the child was destined to either become a great ruler or a spiritual guru. He was named Siddharth. King Shuddhodhan wanted Siddharth to inherit his kingdom and be a great king. He isolated the prince from the outside world out of the fear that if he left the palace, he would surely take up the spiritual path. Siddharth was given the best of training, learning, and all the trappings fit for a prince, and with the passage of time, he grew up as a skilled and handsome prince in the royal family of warriors. A prince who was cocooned inside the palace amidst extreme luxury, away from the reality and miseries of the world. But one day, while on the terrace of the palace, he saw something which he could not fathom. A reality beyond his imagination. This made him curious.
I have never seen that before. What kind of people live there? Are they different? I do not know them. Have never seen them, but I wish to see them now.
One day, in the early hours, Sarnath quietly left the palace with his friend to see this unknown world.
The breeze is as cool as it is in the palace. The trees and flowers are no different than those in our gardens. Water looks the same, so does the sea inside. Everything seems to be the same thing.
He became restless when he saw a sick man. He had never seen one before. He asked his friend,
"Why does he look like this?" "It is due to his bad health, Prince. He is sick."
After a while, he saw a very old man.
"Why does he look so withered?"
Prince, his age is catching up. He is now very old.
And further ahead, he saw a dead body.
"Why is he lying on the ground? What are these people around him doing?"
Prince, he is no more. He is no longer alive. Those people are his family members grieving over his death.
Does this happen to everyone? Will it happen to members of my family too? And my childhood friends also? Will every person suffer this way? Everyone?
Prince, no one can escape it. Someday we may be sick. We shall also feel and face death. No one can escape it.
Siddharth realized that the life inside the palace was far removed from the realities of the outside world, and that the luxuries of his palace, or his healthy body, or his rejoicing youth do not mean much. He recognized that sickness, old age, and death are inevitable, and yet, with no immediate answers to his query on the true meaning of it, his mind continued to be full of disturbing uncertainties. He was beginning to realize that only after finding the meaning of the true nature of the life cycle, one can transcend the human sufferings. He also realized that there is much more to see and explore to get to the truth. He started going out, now more often and alone, to calm his spiritual unrest and clear his doubt. One day, he saw an ascetic, deeply immersed in meditation. The ascetic slowly opened his eyes and looked at Siddhartha. Their eyes met, silently corroborating their thoughts. It dawned on Sarnath that the answers to his questions lay within himself, and if he wanted to help the common man get rid of the sufferings of life, he himself had to understand it first. His decision to go on a quest was beginning to take root. Siddhartha sensed that he cannot embark upon his mission without giving up his emotional bonds. He must leave the palace to live the life of a mendicant. One night, Siddhartha left the palace, leaving behind his wife, son, and all that belonged to him. He took his first step on the spiritual journey to seek the truth. He turned from a prince to an ascetic. While treading on new paths, Siddhartha met many hermits and sages and learnt many ascetic practices, mastering them and gradually immersing himself into self-introspection. In one of the ashrams, a group of 5 monks, Kautinya, Mahanaman, Bhadira, and Ashwajit, saw Siddhartha in a deep meditation.
Who is he? Look at the divine peace on his face. He looks unperturbed by the outside world. He is fully absorbed in his deep meditation.
We should remain with him and follow his ways. That will surely lead us to enlightenment.
They became the first followers of Siddhartha, adopted his methods of meditation, and progressed in their own pursuit. Six years of concerted meditation in various ashrams did not bring Siddhartha any closer to the answers he was looking for. He realized that it was still a long way to go, and the time available with him was merely one lifetime, within which he, like a single earthen oil lamp, must first get enlightened with the truth, and then light up the lamps of truth in the people around him.
When we light a single lamp, it goes off after a few hours. But if several lamps are lit with single lamp, we will create unending light to illuminate the lives of many more.
Siddhartha had a strong conviction that it is important to win the war that is constantly raging within oneself. By doing so, one would acquire everlasting peace. This state of eternal bliss remains within us forever, like a shadow which cannot be separated. With this determined objective, Siddhartha left the set routine of the ashram and decided to practice asceticism on his own with the highest degree of penance to attain his spiritual goal. His followers too moved with him. They reached Uruvela, a small village in Bihar, and sat for meditation for days without food and water. Siddhartha was punishing his body with ultimate deprivations. He wanted to test his physical self to its limits. One day, when his body could not take it anymore, he fainted out of sheer hunger and fatigue. On regaining his senses, he realized that it was not the right way to find the truth.
Our body is like a string instrument. If we lose the string, music is no longer in tune. And if we tighten the string too much, it would snap, and there would be no music at all.
He gave up asceticism and walked to a house and, in a weak voice, asked for alms. Bhiksham Dehi, Bhiksham Dehi. When Siddhartha's 5 followers saw this, they felt cheated.
Look, he has given up his penance and is asking for alms, abandoned his meditation. What kind of a sage does that? He has lost his way. How can he lead us now?
He is degraded now. We must find our own path, or we too will be dishonored like him.
Siddhartha was left alone. He was weak but determined. He started his meditation under a peepal tree on the banks of river Niranjana with a new resolve. No matter what happens to my physical self, I will go on till I vanquish my doubts and find enlightenment. Through intense meditation to know his inner self, he finally emerged victorious. On the day of full moon, after nearly 40 days, he attained enlightenment. He understood the noble truths of life. Siddhartha became Buddha. That peepal tree is now called Bodhi Vriksha, and the place is known as Bodh Gaya. Buddha set about thinking as to how to spread the divine knowledge that he had attained. Who could be the people spiritually attuned to accept this knowledge? Buddha remembered his followers who had abandoned him. He began his journey towards Sarnath. When he entered Sarnath, the environment suddenly became serene. His fellow monks who had abandoned Siddhartha, thinking that he had gone astray, were entranced and humbled by the divinity on his graceful face. They realized that they had failed to grasp the greatness of Siddhartha's actions and welcomed Buddha with utmost respect and devotion. They became Buddha's first disciples. The place where Buddha met these 5 disciples is now called Chaukhandi Stupa. Buddha smiled with compassion and, sensing their eagerness, delivered his first sermon from the place where stands the grand Dhamek Stupa in front of you.
In my spiritual journey, I had experienced 4 noble truths of life. The first noble truth is that the life cycle of birth to death is full of suffering. The second noble truth is that the cause of this suffering is desire. More the desires, greater is the suffering. The third noble truth is that giving up of desires can end the suffering. The fourth noble truth is that renunciation of desires can be achieved by following a disciplined, noble, eightfold path, which is the middle path. Following these paths is like entering a dark room with a light in hand. The darkness gets dispelled and the room is brightened.
Buddha stayed here in this compound for a few days at Moolagandha Kuti Vihar. Buddha's teachings were very simple. He solved the most difficult problems of life in a very ordinary manner. Once a woman came to him with her dead child.
Save him, my lord. Please revive my son. Make him breathe again.
Certainly. Just get some mustard seeds from a family where no one has ever died, and I will revive him.
The woman thought for a while and realized that no one can escape the eternal truth of existence, death. Once an angry farmer started abusing Buddha. He reached his limit of agitation and exhaustion, but Buddha remained calm. Regretting his mistake, the farmer asked Buddha,
I have been cursing you for so long. Don't you feel angry?
As long as I am not carrying any thought of resentment, no matter what you do to me, I cannot be angry with you. Your abuses are still with you.
Anger is our enemy. It shatters our tranquility. It destroys us. No matter how violent the turmoil of thoughts and emotions within us is, when it calms down, we find serenity, the ultimate state of being. Such was the wisdom Buddha preached to people from all walks of life, kings, slaves, soldiers, or common people. He would often compare every living soul to muddy water, which is oblivious to the fact that beneath its surface lies purity and peace.
How does the water of a pond look like? After people have used it for bathing, washing, and for everyday needs. Dirty? But is the water really dirty? No. If left unperturbed, its dirt will settle down after some time, and the water will achieve its true form, clean and calm.
Buddha established his Sangha and sent 60 of his first disciples to all corners of the country to spread his teachings among the common people. Buddha himself embarked on a long journey to reach people, to explain the noble path, and to show them a new way of life. Kings are known for the size of their empire, the duration of their rule, and how they treated their subjects. In the 3rd century before Christ, Maurya dynasty was a vast and powerful empire, ruled by an ambitious emperor, Ashoka. He attacked Kalinga Empire and fought a bloody battle that lasted for many days. Ashoka was victorious, but the victory left him soaked in the blood of hundreds of thousands of soldiers, mercilessly killed. This wanton destruction shook Ashoka to the core.
superstition, so much mystery. How could I do it? Is my victory worth it?
A repentant Ashoka denounced war forever and embraced non-violence, compassion, and fellowship, the path of Buddhism. Ashoka reached out to people in far-flung places, preaching Dharma of Buddha to relieve their sufferings. He built thousands of stupas and viharas across the country and built many other memorials at Sarnath too. As you approach this complex, you cannot miss this towering Dhamek Stupa, the construction of which was initiated by Ashoka and completed by other kings after him. The remains of a pillar from Ashoka's time exist in Sarnath even now. Its top was adorned with his royal symbol of 4 lions, symbolic of the 4 noble truths preached by Buddha, and the wheel of Dharma. These are now the national emblem of India. Ashoka built Dharmarajika Stupa and many viharas in Sarnath for Buddhist monks. He also paid his respects to Buddha by building Moolagandha Kuti Vihara at the place where Buddha stayed in Sarnath. Buddha was born a prince, yet when he saw the suffering around him, he renounced everything, walked an arduous path, understood the cause of suffering and the power to transcend it. He spent his life teaching people that if one wishes to reach a state of no suffering, one must follow the noble eightfold path. His teachings remained relevant and would remain so eternally. The stupas, the pillars, and the viharas still resonate with the calm echoes of Buddha's sermons. Sarnath, its air suffused with spirituality, sends the message of love and compassion to the entire world.
Sun